she does know what I went through this last year. She's the one that got the phone calls when I was crying my eyes out after biopsies that were just terrifying. So she knows. Um, and she's taken it to heart. So, yay, moms for Mother's Day. But everybody else, no, they just think it's absolutely absurd.
Naomi, how did you find Carnivore?
So it was about October 9th, was when I started Carnivore. But of course, it all starts from the beginning, right? When I was really young, I had eczema and a bunch of little skin issues. Um, and then when puberty hits, that's when things kind of go crazy, right? Depression, social anxieties. I was an athlete, very good runner. I was a good cross country runner, and then um, had my children young. I can look back now and thank God for that. Thank God I had them young, but I had my children young, was in an abusive marriage, got even more depressed, had some health issues then, but not too awful. But what really started getting me was this horrible rash on my hands. I would have this rash on my hands in between my fingers that would blister up and bleed. I had like 90-year-old looking hands. My eyes would swell up and bleed. It was horrible. And I was 25. I was 25 years old. This didn't make any sense. So I went to an herbalist in Colorado when I lived in Colorado, and he gave me a powder that was supposed to heal my leaky bowel. And that's the first time I ever heard about leaky bowel. That was fascinating to me, and surprisingly, what he did for my treatment helped. It got rid of that rash. I hadn't had it since. I would get a little bits of it here and there. If I ate something wrong, I would try to figure it out. But what he did worked. I sweat out the toxins. I treated a leaky bowel, and I was fine. Um, Again, always trying to stay fit and healthy. I did a lot of fitness shows in my 30s, uh, the bodybuilding fitness shows. So I always knew that diet was very, very important, the most important thing you could do for your body. But I was still not doing well. I would do all the protein shakes, which would make my lips swell up. um, Another thing, I would go to the doctor every year, go to the dentist all the time. Always had cavities from as long as I can remember, and it was terrifying. I had actually lost two teeth when I was nursing my kids. Lost two teeth. I just fell right out of my head. Um, just tons of problems. Whenever I started getting into my 40s, uh, that's when things really changed. The yearly exams at the well women um, visits were always bad. Every year they were bad. Every year they was abnormal. Every year I had to take antibiotics for something or a pill for something, and it was just torture. And one year I actually had abnormal cells on my cervix and had to get biopsies. That was terrifying. Got through that, and then let's get to the carnivore part. It was about this time last year that I was probably 45 pounds heavier last year. Um, and that is not who I am. I couldn't for the life of me do what I normally do to get fit and healthy and happy. And about Christmas time last year, 2022, my period just stopped. Just stopped. And I had never missed a period in my life. Never missed one. And that was really scary. That was okay. Am I going through menopause at 42? I'd ask my mom, and she's like, "Oh, I don't really even remember." And I asked my aunt, so maybe we do go through it young. And I'm like, but this just doesn't make any sense. And I am fat, and I'm hormonal. I am sad, extra sad, and I am having hot flashes. And so I went to my OBGYN, and she put me through a bunch of tests and said that my estrogen was extremely high. I couldn't possibly be going through menopause, and everything was fine. and that I didn't have anything to worry about. Maybe my thyroid was a little low, and she put me on medication for that. At this time, I was on a lot of antidepressants. Uh, they did give me hormone replacements. The pellet and the tush that they put in for women, and that worked for a couple of weeks, but it really wasn't that great. So I spent a lot of money to try to be healthy, to try to figure out what was going on. And this is at least 4 years of really trying. Um, None of it really seemed to work. I got worse. And I'm a diver now. I like to go diving. That's the thing I love to do. I was throwing up every time I'd go diving. That's not normal. That's not me. My life was just getting really bad really quick. And it was one day I was just feeling really fat when I was on my lunch break at work. I work at a middle school. I help kids at middle school. I'm on my lunch break, and one kid had just mentioned, "Are you pregnant?" I'm like, oh, "No, I'm just old and fat, sweetheart. I'm just old and fat." And I'm like, "God, I gotta do something. Nothing's working. I feel horrible." And I just remember thinking, everybody learns so much on YouTube. You can build a house on YouTube. You can rebuild an engine. I helped my son rebuild his engine on YouTube. Why don't I just Google how to get rid of this belly fat on YouTube? And I actually came across Dr. Berg and his explanation of what uh, insulin does in the process of metabolic health. And I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I could not really. Insulin, huh? Every woman in my family, I feel like, has type 2 diabetes. So I'm very familiar with insulin, type 2 diabetes, blood sugar. It's part of the reason why I try so hard to be healthy, because I don't want to be that when I grow up. Um, so I was really shocked. So I started the keto diet via Dr. Berg. Loved his videos, watched all of his videos. I did a 7-day fast first. Well, after being on keto for a while, I did the 7-day fast as soon as school was out for the summer. Nothing but water, a little bit of electrolytes, not much. I didn't really like those. I remembered to make sure I had salt, and I never felt better in my entire life. It was like I was a teenager again. It was amazing. That 7-day fast changed everything. And my period came back. It's been back ever since, normal. It was almost gone for a whole year, and it came back. So I know a lot of people, when I tell women this, friends this, um, they're like, "Ew, why would you want that?" And I'm like, "Well, it shouldn't just go away. That's a bad thing. No, nobody likes periods, but that shouldn't just go away." So, like, why would you? And so that's the thing. When you start telling people what you're doing, they and you start realizing, because for you, for the person it's working for, it's amazing. And then you try to tell your friends and family, "Hey, this is what I'm doing, and this is what it's done for me." And they're like, "Well, that's just stupid." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, because that's what works for me." Um, Keto worked out great, except for I just didn't stick to it, and tried to get back to it again. Even did some shakes and things, and then I did find Dr. Ken Berry, and that's what changed everything. And October 9th, I decided I was going to go full carnivore, and I did. And that's when things really, really changed for me. Of course, my skin, my elbows are soft, my mood transformed dramatically. I don't take any medication, zero medication now. And I was on so much, the thyroid medication, the all the hormone pills, progesterone, the pellets, antidepressants, uh, Adderall, sleeping pills. I was on everything because I was trying so hard not to feel horrible. I'm not taking any of that. For me, my choice was to just to stop doing it, just to stop taking it. I couldn't spend the money on it anymore, and I wasn't feeling well anyway, and did all the research I could. and decided I'm just going to stop. And if there's a problem, we'll figure it out. I'll go see my doctor. And so I did. I stopped and I haven't needed anything. And depression is not in the my vocabulary at all. I'm happier than I've ever been, which I've been in a really good, a really healthy relationship for about 4 years now, and he's gone through all of this with me. He's been just an absolute jewel. And when I would tell him, I feel like I want to die. I just want to die. The depression, it gets so serious when you know exactly how you're going to end it to the detail and you don't tell anybody and you know what you're going to do. It's 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 catastrophic. And I did talk to him about it, and it made him feel so bad because we are so happy and he is so good to me. He felt like it was his fault, and in any no way is it his fault. I'm in a happy relationship for the first time in my life. It's definitely not his fault, and that was unfair. So he has gone through all of this with me. He's been so supportive. He cooks a lot. Kind of wants me to cook, but he has a smoker outside. We live in Texas, so we smoke meat, and so that works out for me. But he's very, very supportive. I couldn't have asked for a better person in my life than my boyfriend. He's asked me if I want seasoning on it, and if I don't, how I want it. Don't take the membrane off, and yeah, save all the bones. He is so precious, just such a support to me. Um, so I don't have any problem there, and I thank God for him every day. I know sometimes he probably does think I'm crazy, but he doesn't make me feel that way. That's for sure. So I love that very, very much. And then when I do talk to my family about what I'm doing, just like anything else, at first I talk to them about what I'm doing and how much it's helping me, and they just, well, that's just crazy. Everything you're doing is crazy. It's not healthy. Um, they believe that uh, fat is bad for you, butter is bad for you, cholesterol is the worst thing in the world. Um, I actually made some T-shirts that say "I heart cholesterol" just because I love cholesterol. I know what it does for my body and how it makes my life better. And everyone's a human that needs cholesterol. But it does shock me how offended people get whenever I mention. Somebody said, "Oh, my cholesterol is really high," and I was like, "Oh, really high, or is it little high? Because cholesterol is really good for you." And they just get terribly upset with me, like I had told them it was okay to have a heart attack or something. I don't know, but people do get offended by the little things that I say, so I don't say much. But if we go out and eat, I do only eat just the meat. Actually, I eat mainly the fat and the butter. But that's how I found carnivore, and I'm not going back.
Wow. What a cloud that has lifted.
Yeah, yeah, tremendously.
It's
I can't imagine still feeling the way I did. I remember you asked one of your guests the question, how much would I have to pay you to go back to eating normally? And I'm like, well, I would be dead pretty quick, I think, or very miserable. So there is no amount of money. Plus, I'm saving a lot of money eating this way. Saving so much money. It's not just on food, it's on medical bills and pills and trying to figure out how to lose the weight for the summer, which is impossible. I'll never go
speak,
back. It's the cheapest thing in the world I've ever done.
speaking of the pills, like how did you come down off those? Because that's quite a combination of things that you were doing.
Yeah. I was already not taking them religiously anyway, except for the antidepressants, which I knew were very important. And when I would go back to my doctor and tell him they weren't working, he would just switch a pill on me anyway. So I just felt like, well, if it's okay to just stop it, and take something else that's totally different, I I'm gonna make the decision for myself to just not take it. Um, and that's my decision. I wouldn't suggest that for anybody else ever. That's for them and their doctor to decide, of course. But for me, I just stopped. I just couldn't do it anymore. And I was feeling better, slowly feeling better. So I just listened to my body and I did it that way. And that's another thing. I'm finally able to listen to my body. People talk about that all the time. I just listen to my body. I've never understood that. And now I do. My body talks to me very loudly. If I eat something I'm not supposed to, I know. And I'm not tempted by anything anymore. You know, most of us do love carbs and want the bread at the restaurants and dessert on a vacation. And I really truly am not tempted by that anymore. And it's a very freeing feeling. I don't know how to explain it. All of us do. All of us do try to explain that, but I don't want it anymore. I don't want carbs. I don't want sugar. I just want a steak. I just want a steak every evening.
Help me understand a little bit. As a man, I obviously,
Husky days. Yes.
despite what they want to tell us in 2024, as a man, I can't understand, how you would feel, every month. What is the thing that made you concerned most about the when you lost your period? Was it just the feeling that something's wrong, or that
Yes.
the fear of I'm going into menopause?
Right. So I didn't even think I had hormone issues until that happened.
Right.
Uh, so I would tell my friends and family, I'd be like, "Well, I'm either dying, pregnant, or going through menopause. I don't know what's happening, but one of those three is happening." And I was dying was the answer. I was, on my way to dying. That's what it was. Certainly wasn't pregnant. Certainly wasn't going through menopause. So I was doing the wrong thing for my body, clearly, and that was a sign. And it's something that we women get to listen to every month. If that just stops, that's a sign. It's a huge sign that I'm very thankful for. I'm thankful for that sign because I don't think I would have taken as drastic measures as I did if that hadn't happened. I would have just thought I'm doing things wrong. I need to exercise more. I need to eat better. I need to figure this out. And I would not have gone to those drastic lengths to be, no, there's something wrong. There's something very wrong. Um, so yeah, it's not about, yay, my period. No, there's a huge reason why it's gone, and I need to listen to that. One of the books that I did read this year is Good Fat is Good for Women by Elizabeth Bright, which is absolutely wonderful. That was one of the best books I've ever read. My favorite book I've read, and I've read a lot of books this year. I've read everybody's book, and that was really um, it made me feel so much better about what I was doing. It helped me make better decisions on uh, what I was going to eat. I upped my fat. I didn't worry so much about how much protein I was eating. I ate the way I felt, made sure I was eating enough. And every day it changes. I feel like every day I want something else or eat less or more. I'm just listening to my body and doing exactly what it wants me to do, and I feel better about it every day. Um, and there's one thing I want to mention that I don't think is mentioned enough that hopefully will help other people. But I was listening to a Ken Berry Q&A, and Nisha was there, and somebody had asked him about, I'm on carnivore and my teeth are really sore. They hurt so bad. Am I doing something wrong? And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, that's me. My teeth are hurting so bad. And every time I'd eat meat, and it was like, I don't know, like they were going to fall out. My teeth would hurt so bad. It didn't stop what I was doing, but I would just take my time eating. So I knew what they were asking, and Dr. Ken Berry and actually Anthony Shafee had this question as well, and they both answered it the same, which was, I don't know. I haven't heard that before, blah blah blah. But Nisha stepped in. Nisha stepped in and she goes, you know what it might be is you haven't eaten enough meat in your life, and you are strengthening your bones and your jaw and your muscles and your teeth themselves by eating the meat like you're supposed to every day. And just give it some time, it'll get stronger, it'll get better. And she was right. She was absolutely right. So if anyone else has sore teeth because they're eating meat every day like you're supposed to, it'll go away. You're just strengthening all of that. Which, by the way, I did go to the dentist last month, and I've been going to the same hygienist for over 10 years, and she was very, very happy with she, for the first time, I've never heard her say this, the color of your gums are perfect. The color. I'm like, were they not perfect before? She's like, you're a bleeder. You would always bleed when I would floss you, and now the color of your gums are just perfect, and all of your teeth are strong and staying in place. And so I had a perfect visit to the dentist. For a person who's lost a few teeth, that's a huge deal for me. Um, I have a lot of good things. My elbows are soft. I don't have to shave my legs as much. That's weird, but I'm happy about that. And I think that has a lot to do with just normalizing my hormones, giving them time to balance out and do what they're supposed to do while I'm eating properly. And as far as family goes, my daughter is 21, and she's been having digestion issues, and she'll go on carnivore for a whole week just to fix that, and it works for her every time. I'm so proud of her for doing it. When the rest of the family is thinking we're going to die, she just took onto it, no problem. And that's what she does whenever she's definitely not full carnivore. She has her carbs, but she's 21 and trying to figure out life. But as far as family goes, it is hard. It's hard
Mm.
to um, because you want to help. You want to help your family. You want to help the people you love. But
So you mentioned like they're kind of they're not very accepting of the idea, and they're still in, as most people are, still in the mindset of, fat is bad and that kind of thing.
mhm.
Do they not kind of, has anyone kind of just gone, you sound crazy what you're talking about, but it does look like you're having good results. So I mean, I'm at least intrigued.
Not really. And I think maybe because I used to do fitness shows, bodybuilding shows, and I would lean down for that. It was miserable. It wasn't the right thing to do. So maybe they're just thinking um, that I'm doing something like that, and they're not thrilled by it. But people do ask, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing? You've lost a lot of weight since Christmas," and or whatever. And then I say what I'm doing, and they'll be very confused, or they'll say something like, "Oh, you're doing Atkins," and I'm like, "Well, I'm not having any vegetables, like no vegetables, so no, I'm not doing Atkins." So you're doing Atkins? No, I'm not doing Atkins. It's not the same. And so people just get confused by it. And I try my best to tell them. I actually, one of the teachers that I work with is carnivore because she's been so stressed out. So I've been really trying to support her. And so that's been really nice. It's been really nice going out with that group of teachers because she and I will sit next to each other and totally understand how we're living. So that is nice. I know one person in my life, one, and it's really, really good to do stuff with her and talk to her about things. Most people support me, but they just don't get it. They don't get it. I spoke with my mom last night. Today is Mother's Day here in the U.S. So I talked to my mom last night. She is a severe type 2 diabetic. She has had a heart attack and a stroke all within a few months of each other. It's been about 2 years now, I think. Um, and so I've always taken her health so seriously. I've always tried. to tell her, I've known for a long time that type 2 diabetes is reversible. It's 100% reversible. It's totally an unnecessary disease to have. Always known that. Um, and so I'm always trying to encourage her. I was talking to her last night, and she said that my brother, because she lives really close to my brother, got upset with her because she was eating the fat on her steak. And I said, Mom, please eat the fat on your steak. She's like, it tastes good. It tastes good. I'm like, yes, because you're supposed to have it. Please eat it. And take their fat off their steak too if you want to. Like, it just eat that fat. But she does try to listen to me. She cares. She supports me, or she's just trying to be a nice mom. I don't know, but she does care about what I'm doing. She does know what I went through this last year. She's the one that got the phone calls and I was crying my eyes out after biopsies that were just terrifying. So she knows. Um, and she's taken it to heart. So, yay, moms for Mother's Day. But everybody else, no, they just think it's absolutely absurd. My boyfriend, like I said earlier, has just been an absolute jewel. Goes above and beyond. We travel a lot, and he makes sure I have what I want or need. He does. He's happy for me. He sees me every day. I live with him every day, and he
Mm.
sees what I go through, and he sees how happy I am, and um, I look and feel, and that's great for him, and he's totally supportive about it. And he does. Some of his friends will like, so what do you want for dinner tonight? He'll just go, meat. What we had, meat.
So is your boyfriend also doing carnivore with you, or is he just eating more meat and he still eats some veggies and stuff like that?
He, I don't really see him eating veggies ever at all. We used to have green beans for dinner every single night, green beans or broccoli or something. And we don't do that anymore. He really just eats what I eat whenever we eat. In the evenings, I'll see him have some crackers or some. He likes um, he likes nuts, all kinds of nuts. So he'll have some nuts and things like that. But for the most part, yeah, he just eats with me. He has to travel a lot. Right now he's in London, so he brings food with him, or he just eats out with the guys. But uh, he uh, he basically eats what I eat when we go eat. If we go out, he eats whatever he wants. But when we're home, he just eats what I eat. So for the most part, yes. And he says things like, I still believe vegetables are good for you. And I'm like, okay, well, you can eat vegetables, eat your vegetables. I'm not going to eat the vegetables. And I don't mind. I'll make them for you even, but I'm just not going to eat the vegetables. Um, I just the day
Mm.
I stopped eating vegetables, my waist was half the size. I feel like, and that was the last day I ate vegetables. I think I tried a bite of broccoli at Christmas time, and I was like, this isn't even yummy anymore. So I just I don't eat them.
Yeah. So on that, how are you eating day to day? How many times? And
Most of the time, I'm one meal a day when I get home. On the weekends, I'll have bacon and eggs for breakfast, and I feel amazing. And then I'll have a second meal on the weekends. But during the week, I just have one meal a day, and it's whatever ribs are left over, um, some hamburger patties, or just ground up hamburger is my favorite. I'll even fry up some spam or hot dogs, little smokies sometimes. Today I'll have a steak. My daughter's bringing me steak for Mother's Day, so that's what we're going to have today. Every once in a while, I'll bake something. Marie Emmerich has that carnivore bread that's made out of egg white powder. Every once in a while, I'll do something like that because that's fun, but I don't even want that anymore. For my birthday, I made as an oopsie cake, Kelly Hogan's oopsie cake, and that was so much fun. That was so much fun to make. It was beautiful. It was delicious, and it was
What?
still on.
How is
You
that
don't know?
made? I haven't heard about it.
It's wonderful. You separate 8 eggs, the yolks and the whites. You fluff up the whites a whole bunch. You put a whole brick of cream cheese in with the yolks and mix that all up. Fold it in, and that makes a cake. It was really good.
So even the recipes are, it's even the recipes like that are so simple on Carnivore,
Yes.
it's yeah, oh, that's great. How would you recommend people get started on Carnivore? So if someone from your family or one of your friends came to you and said, "Look, obviously you're doing really well. I can see you've lost weight, you're happier, etc., etc. I want some of that for me." What would you recommend to them?
I would say, just like everyone else, try to take it slow and try to do more of an Atkins approach or a keto approach to getting into it. And if fasting is something you're interested in, because everyone that fasts says it's amazing, do one. I probably won't do another one. I kind of want to, but I don't feel like I need to anymore because this diet is so helpful and it does what fasting does anyway. Um, but I would certainly try keto first and ease your way into it. So my friend is a power lifter, and in that world, they tend to know things like this. And I asked her if she'd ever tried the carnivore diet, and she goes, "Oh yes, I tried the carnivore diet." I said, "Shouldn't that would help you out a bunch in your performance? Did you like it?" And she goes, "No, I didn't have any energy on it." And she didn't really want to hear anything more I had to say, so I just let it go. And I just keep thinking, what a shame. Of course you didn't have energy on it. You stopped all your carbs. You went full carnivore and you haven't adapted yet. It takes time. And people just don't know that. They just think, oh, this isn't working for me. And so they just stop doing it. Um, and I'm so thankful that I knew ahead of time by listening to other people more and other interviews more that it's not going to be easy at first. It's just like anything else. And there's that switch that has to happen in your body that just takes time. And when it happens, it's worth it. So I do hear things like that sometimes, or if someone at work asks me, and usually it's, I could never eat meat every day, or I have to have that crunch, or all kinds of different things. And I'm like, okay, you don't know until you really know. And so I would say go keto first, so you can have those vegetables, those crunchy vegetables, the olive oil if you need it. It's however you get there, because I think what's important for everybody is the lowering that insulin is super important, and then making sure you're getting ketones into your brain is very important. And however you do that. And then if carnivore is in your future, even better.
So, Naomi, do you have any way to contact you, like social media or YouTube or anything like that?
I'm on TikTok. It's Naomi Ruth on TikTok. And my YouTube that I do want to start working on this summer, highlighting different spots in the books that I'm reading that are really, really important that I think people need to hear. Maybe it's just a two-liner that really makes sense, and make YouTube shorts and things like that. But I have a really fun name for my YouTube, and it's at Fatty Dolly. The Fatty Dolly. And there's a whole story on that. I love Dolly Parton. She's one of my favorite people in the whole world. And years ago, I used to do musicals, and I did a musical here at our community, community college. I did 9 to 5, and I played Dorley, which is Dolly Parton's character. And so, Fatty Dolly, because I love fat. I love fat. Fat is important.
Nice.
So that's going to be my YouTube handle is Fatty Dolly.
Nice. I'll link to those below. Naomi, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Okay. I appreciate it too. Thank you.